Hi all. Today I came up with many fascinating questions you are watching around you. See, you are seeing a ball which is rolling. Will this ball stops? Yes, of course it will stop. But what is the reason why this ball stops? Actually, we said that there is an unbalanced force should act on a body to stop its motion, otherwise the object will continue its state of rest or of uniform motion. In the last class you have learned. So what unbalanced force is acting on there? Yes, that unbalanced force which acts on that ball is nothing but force of friction. So the force of friction acts between the surface of the ball and the surface of the ground. Thus, stops the ball from moving any further unless it is moved by an external force. If you just again started it moving, then it will move. But if there is no unbalanced force acts on it, or any further external force acts on it, that stops its motion after some time. Okay? And a guy who is coming out of a moving train, he falls down. What is the reason why he falls down? Yes. You know that if you jump from a bus or a train which is moving, what will happen? You may fall down. Why? Your body is still moving in the direction of the vehicle. When your feet hits the ground, that means when you come out, the ground acts on your feet and they stop moving. You will fall because your upper part of your body did not stop. They want to move again and again, and you will fall in the direction you were moving. And you may have seen when a strong wind blows, or if you shake the branches of a tree, then the fruits on it will fall down. Why? You know the reason? Because it is set in the motion. Okay? While the fruits remain in the state of rest. And the fruits gets detached from the branches and falls down due to the pull of gravity. And what happens initially? Initially both the tree and the fruit hanging to its branches are at the state of rest. Yes, they were not moving. The branches, the tree and the fruits were initially at rest. But when we shake the branches, what will happen? The branch started the motion, is it? But the fruits wanted to remain at rest. So the fruits gets detached from the branches and falls down due to gravity. Okay? Gravitational pull is there. You might have traveled a lot. You may be traveling in a bus or a train, whatever it is. So this guy is traveling in a bus and he was just standing on the bus. When the bus suddenly starts moving, what will happen? When you're just standing there, when the bus suddenly starts, you may fall backward or forward. What will happen? You will tend to fall backward when a bus or a train suddenly starts. Is it? Why? You are dealing these situations in every day, is it? Yes, you are seeing it. So you have to answer this question. So why? Because the lower part of the body starts moving with the bus or the train. But what happened to the upper part of the upper part? Try to remain at rest. Why? Because it is having inertia. That inertia is nothing but the laziness of the body. It wants to be continued in the state of rest. Okay. So why? Because inertia, and we will discuss in detail what is inertia. Okay, hope you understood. It is because of the inertia the body, upper part of the body moves backward. And sometimes when you are in a moving bus or a train or in a car, you know, when the driver applies a sudden brake, what will happen? If he applies a sudden brake on the vehicle, you will move forward, is it? Yes, you will move forward. And we tend to remain at rest with respect to the seat until the driver applies the brake. With the application of brake, the car slows down, but our body tends to continue in the same state of motion because of its inertia. Here also inertia comes. What is our tendency of the body? Tendency of our body is to move because we are in motion. We are in the car and we are moving. Okay, so we are moving forward and our body has the tendency to move forward. But when driver applies the brake, what will happen? The sudden application of the brake causes some injury sometimes, is it? We may collide, our head may hit to the front side of the seat, is it? If you are in a bus, sometimes you may feel like that. If you are a kid, you are traveling along with your parent and you are sitting in a bus and the bus is moving. Suddenly, sometimes the driver applies the brake and you will move forward and your head may hit at the front side of the seat, is it? At the front seat, is it? Because you are moving forward. It is because our body is having the tendency to move forward and the engine slows down and it stops. But our body tends to continue in the same state of motion because of inertia. That is why when we are moving in car, you will be putting the seat belt. Why? To avoid such injuries. Or when the collision happens, you may get some injuries, is it? So what will happen if you wear a seat belt? If you want a seat belt which prevents the accident, that is, safety belts exert a force on your body to make the forward motion slower. So you may feel that when you move forward, this seat belt will be tightened and the motion or the jerk you are moving forward will be less, is it? It will be decreased or it will slower the motion, forward motion of you. Okay, so always you have to remember, when you are moving in a vehicle which is having seat belt, you have to put the seat belt also, is it? From now at least you have to wear the seat belt. Okay, so you understood what happens. And sometimes when there are accidents, you have seen the only thing is the person or the driver who is dying only because of the forward motion, and that they will hit on the glass or on the vehicle, harder objects. Okay, and nowadays all the vehicles are provided with airbags and all for safety purposes. Now you can see an experiment here, and all of you can try this experiment. There is a card on the top of the glass and a coin is placed above it. When he flickers the card will fly away and the coin will move to the glass tumbler. Okay, why? This is also because of inertia. And this coin, what is its tendency? It's having the tendency to continue to be at the rest. That means it wants to continue to be on the same position. But when we flicker, that means we are applying a force, then the card will start moving. But because of this tendency of inertia to be continued to be in the state of rest, so that coin will directly fall into the glass tumbler. This you may have seen like this also. That tray is in motion, then the egg continues to be in the state of rest. That's why it falls down to the tumbler. Hope you understood. So all these said about Newton's first law of motion. And what is it? Any object remains in the state of rest or of uniform motion along a straight line until it is compelled to change the state by an external force. I repeat. So every object having the tendency to continue to be in the state of rest or in the state of uniform motion along a straight line unless and until it is compelled by an external force, okay, to change that state. Okay, so if any object is in the state of rest, then it will remain in the state of rest until an external force is applied to change its state of rest. Similarly, an object will remain in the motion until an external force is applied over it to change its state. This means all objects resist to change their state. That is, the state of any object can be changed by applying an external force. Hope you understood. So, what is Newton's law of motion? If someone is asking first law of motion, then you have to see an object remains in the state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change the state by an applied force. So this first law of motion is also known as law of inertia, and we have come across many examples of inertia, that is the natural tendency of an object to remain in the state of rest or of uniform motion. That is what is called inertia. All of us are having this tendency, this laziness. If you want to sleep, if you are sleeping in the morning, if someone wakes you up, you want to continue a little more, is it? On the bed itself, you want to sleep a little more, you feel like that. It's because you want to be at rest itself. That is the tendency of your body. That is what is called inertia. That is what is because inertia. And we said about example of inertia of motion. So there are different types of inertia. What are it? Inertia of rest. We have came across a lot of example now. And inertia of motion is there. That also we discussed. An example is, if you are in a moving vehicle, you will suddenly fall forward. That is because inertia of motion. There is another inertia which is called inertia of direction. What is that? Every body has the tendency to continue to be in the same direction. Sharp turn, then your body will move towards the left side. Or if it is a sharp left turn, then your body will be moving in the opposite direction, because you want to continue to be in the same straight direction. Okay, so when the direction changes, then your body is having the tendency to continue to be in the same direction, and you will be tilted to the opposite direction. So the three types of inertia are inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. And what is inertia of rest? The inability of a body to change its state of rest is known as inertia of rest. And what is inertia of motion? The inability of the body to change by itself its state of uniform motion is known as inertia of motion. And the third one is inertia of direction, which is the inability of the body to change by itself its direction of motion. When you play carom board, if you pile all the coins at the center, and if you just have a strong hit with a striker, then what will happen to the coin? If you have a strong enough hit, then what will happen? The bottom coin moves out quickly. Once the lowest coin is moved, the inertia of the other coin makes them fall vertically on the table. If I give an example for inertia of direction, when a motor car makes a sharp turn at a high speed, what will happen? We tend to get thrown to the other side, is it? This can be explained on the basis of law of inertia. That is, we tend to continue in our straight line motion when an unbalanced force is applied by the engine to change the direction of motion of the motor car. We slip to one side of the seat due to the inertia of our body. So there is a resistance offered by an object to change its state of motion. If it is at rest, it tends to remain at rest, and if it is moving, it tends to be keep on moving. This property is called inertia. Hope you understood what is inertia clearly. And it is strongly related to mass. See, if you have a box which is empty, you can just lift it easier and you can keep it in any other place, is it? But if it is having full of books, if the same box, same size box is filled with books, is that so easy to carry, or you can keep it in any other place easily? No. It is not that easier to push an empty box than a box full of books, because the heavier or more massive the object, it offers more inertia. That is, the inertia of an object is measured by its mass. As you have seen in this figure, you can see an empty bucket can be pushed easily, but if it is filled with sand, it's more difficult to be pushed. That is because the heavier or more massive the object, larger will be the inertia. So the first law states that all objects have inertia, and the more mass an object has, the more the inertia it has, or harder is to change its motion. So it is a natural tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion or a state of rest. And the mass of an object is a measure of its inertia. If more mass an object is having, then the more will be the inertia. And if an object is having less mass, then less will be the inertia. Hope you understood this. So we have discussed about the first law of motion and what is inertia and what are the different types of inertia, and also how a mass is related with inertia. Understood? Thank you.